So what do you ask a bishop anyway? Hey folks, this is Question of Faith. I am Mike Hayes. I'm the Director of Young Adult Ministry here in the Diocese of Cleveland. And my partner in crime, Father Damian Ference, and I were with Bishop Malesic, the Bishop of Cleveland, at Forest City Brewery for Theology on Tap a little more than a week ago, and we gave you part one of that. The other day, we thought we would offer you a bonus episode here for your weekend pleasure. And Bishop Malesic joined us, and we asked him two final questions. One was, do you have a science book or a book on science and faith that you would really like to recommend to us? And so he gave us that answer. And then we asked him 20 rapid-fire questions right after that. And so here's a little bit of Bishop Malesic at Forest City Brewery with Father Damian and myself. And Father Damian asks him the first question about science and faith.
So you confess that you are a science guy, and at the same time you are a bishop. And of course, our Catholic faith esteems the relationship between faith and reason, between science and theology. So, could you recommend to us a couple good reads in the field of science and a couple good reads in the field of theology?
I can't in science anymore. Those days are gone. So I don't really know. There's a lot of books on the relationship between science and faith. Probably Bishop Barron has done a few things. Bishop Barron is he really believes, and I think the stats hold true, that one of the greatest reasons why people leave the church, and now they're leaving at the age of 13, is because of this conflict they have between science and faith, that they can't grasp that they go hand in hand. They're like two wings of the same airplane, and you have to have both wings to fly somewhere. And it took, I have to say, it's just mystifying to me, except I do remember one young person. She was a teenager going a senior in high school, was going to go to college. She said, "Father Ed, I have a problem." And I said, "Well, what's the problem?" She said, "Well, I want to be a biology major." I said, "Oh, good for you, biology major." She said, "But that means I'll have to give up my faith." I said, "Well, why would you have to give up your faith?" And she said, "Well, you can't believe in science and religion." Now, here's, I think, where the mistake is coming in. I'm not sure. But I think people believe that if you're a Christian, you believe the world was created in 7 days and that's it. And I think that people think that religious people believe that God is like an old man with a white beard who controls things up in heaven. So they have this mythological understanding of God, but that's not our understanding of God at all. Once you understand God is the ground of all being, the God who is the power of that holds all of the molecules of the body together, and the mind behind the stars and the laws of nature and the human cells, the anatomy of the human person. Once you begin to see God as a spiritual power, then you don't have such a problem between science and religion. So when I told my professors that I was going to enter the seminary, most of them were happy. They were believers. Some of the students said, but Ed, it's so radically different to go from science to religion. I said, not really, because science is the study of life, that you can feel and touch and see and experiment on, and religion is the study of life, that part of life that's a little bit more mysterious, the soul, the spirit, love, patience, peace. And why would you just want to look at love, patience, peace, and not look at the physical reality that's a part of our world? Or why would you just want to look at the physical reality that's a part of our world and not study the more ethereal part? It's when you put both together that you have the two wings of the plane that can fly forward. So that's my understanding. That's a long way of saying I don't have a book on science or religion. But what am I reading now? The church is really putting an emphasis on the Eucharist, because a lot of people who are baptized Catholic will say that they don't either believe or they didn't know that the church taught that the Eucharist was the real presence of Jesus, sacramentally present to us under the sign of bread and wine. So the church, especially in the United States, the bishops are putting together this Eucharistic initiative, revival, the Eucharistic initiative. What's it called? The Eucharistic Revival?
Revival, yes.
Eucharistic Revival. He's my guy in charge of it, so he knows what I told him to do. But to try and, first of all, teach what is the Eucharist, and then try and instill within all of us a greater love of Jesus and the Blessed Sacrament. And then ultimately to have people like you be ambassadors for Christ, to go out into the communities and say, I found Jesus Christ. He speaks to my heart. He comes to me under the sign of bread and wine. Why don't you come before him in the Blessed Sacrament? So the books that I would recommend right now, one again, Bishop Barron. I'm a Bishop Barron fan. It's simply called Eucharist. I think he does an excellent job looking at the Eucharist as meal, but then a real fine job looking at Eucharist as sacrifice. The other is by Joseph Ratzinger, before he was Pope Benedict the 16th. And that book is God is Near Us, I think. God is Near Us. Joseph Ratzinger has a sharp mind, I find him to be an easy read, easier than Pope Francis. I find Pope Francis to be a little difficult, maybe because he's a Jesuit, he's all over the place, I don't know. Don't tell him I was critical of him, okay? So, and even John Paul II could get a little bit more philosophical than I can go. So I like Ratzinger.
The Germans write very clearly.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Okay, so Bishop, we got 20 sort of rapid fire questions now. So these would be like a sentence or two, no more.
Maybe a paragraph.
Right. Okay.
How about a paragraph?
Well, I'll allow it.
He's the boss.
Have another beer. You won't remember this tomorrow anyway. So he said, what did Bishop say? I have no idea what Bishop said. It was really, he seems like a nice guy, but I don't know what he said.
So best and worst thing about being a bishop?
The worst thing?
Or the best and the worst?
Oh, best and worst. The best thing about being bishop is the experiences I get. I have a rich understanding of the church. I see the poor church. I see the wealthy church. I see the church that leans a little bit left. The church leans a little bit right. I get to experience so many things. I got to meet the Holy Father several times now, Pope Francis. The liturgies, I rarely have a bad liturgy, you know. I certainly don't have bad meals anywhere ever. Bishops eat really, really, really well, and we always get the biggest plate. And so, I mean, the experience of being a bishop is, I'm blessed to be a bishop. I never wanted to be a bishop, so I did not. I know more than the 20.
Is that the worst thing, that you didn't want to be a bishop?
The worst thing is I was the pastor of a parish that had about 560 families. The average age was 34, so there were kids everywhere. I was there 11 years. I knew everyone. I knew who had cancer. I knew who was struggling in their marriage. I knew who was worried about the diagnosis of a child that might have a serious illness. I knew who was dating who. So I was part of a community, and that's a neat thing when you find a parish where you become part of a family as a pastor. They call you father because you are a father to them. The hard thing about being a bishop is I'm with different people every night. And you've said it already. You'll come up and say, I know I've met you 3 times, but you probably don't remember me. To be honest with you, I don't always remember people because I'm just constantly over with people. That's a hardship for me. It's a hardship to constantly try to figure out what am I going to say to this group, because you're all different. Every group's different.
So how about the best and worst of your seminary? What did you enjoy about being in a seminary? What was hard?
The best thing about being in the seminary, the liturgies, the structure, the routine. You knew what you were going to do at any given time. It was pretty predictable. The worst thing about being in the seminary, we talked about it, the divisions, some of the liturgy wars, some of the tabernacle should go here, no, it should go there. I'm like, I think Jesus just wants you to chill out and figure out where he is and worship him. That's all. Just get me out. I don't like a lot of I sometimes think we like the fight. We like it, and I don't know that Jesus likes it.
What do you miss most about Pennsylvania?
Pennsylvania. We have a Duquesne shirt here, so what do I miss about Pennsylvania? Certainly, my family's very small. I certainly miss my brother and my good friends. So when I was named Bishop of Greensburg, I knew that I would have to give up being with my family every week. I had been like that for the longest time. And my good priest friends, which you can't be with them all the time. Hard pretzels. Ouija hard pretzels, but you can get them on Amazon.com. So,
good to know.
I don't think they're around here. So
it's like me with bagels in New York.
I know, yeah. That's the other thing. I always lived in Harrisburg, so I was 3.5 hours away from New York City. I'd go into New York City once every month or two, so that was nice.
What does Pennsylvania have that you wish Cleveland had?
Hard press.
What?
Football?
Football?
Ouch.
No,
That hurts
not
after
going
this
there. Not going there. Not going there. I do laugh. I do make fun of the Ohio. I do make fun of you guys. When you tell me that when you're going to go skiing, I said, where are you going to go skiing? They said, well, there's a place in Ohio. I said, there's a place in Ohio to go skiing. You're like, oh. I said, where is this mountain?
Boston Mills.
I know. I've seen some places that look a little bit like Pennsylvania. The rolling hills of Pennsylvania. I mean, I do.
What does Cleveland have that Pennsylvania didn't?
Well, for me, where I live right in downtown Cleveland. I never thought I'd be able to walk to a major Broadway play, and I can. It's 4 blocks away from me. So, and we have within 10 minutes the Cleveland Symphony, Cleveland Orchestra, which I love. I love going when I have the chance to go there. If I was more of a sports guy than I am, and I'm not a big sports guy, I'll watch it on TV once in a while. But I could walk to the stadiums, either one, and I can walk to the lake. I always wanted to live by water. I really did. I always wanted to live by water. My hope was that there would be palm trees by the water, but I'll take the water. I'll take the water.
What is your favorite comfort food?
Pizza. Yeah, pizza. Carbs, I shouldn't eat. I try not to eat carbs. I was on a keto diet for a long time. I lost some weight. But carbs always call back to you. There's no doubt. Like macaroni and cheese, spaghetti, meatballs, pizza, breads. Am I making you hungry? Yeah, but you're eating. You got it now. Yeah, comfort.
Best movie ever?
Any of the Star Wars movies? So I grew up in Star Wars. But can I want to add just 2 more. Schindler's List and Shawshank Redemption. And one more, although there's scenes in there that you shouldn't see and all that other stuff, but we're among mature people. The Color Purple, which is a story of redemption too, has been one of my favorites.
Movie that after watching it you wish you had those 2 hours back.
I didn't stay 2 hours. I left after 1 hour. And I don't know what you're going to think about this either, but Monty Python's The Meaning of Life.
Yeah.
I left after an hour. Yeah, I just found it to be so irreverent. I don't know what it was at that stage of my life. I probably would find it the same way too. Not like Monty Python in a lot of ways, but The Meaning of Life was just kind of repulsive to me. The other one was that I just thought, what in the world are they trying to do here? Was The Shape of Water. Was it The Shape of Water? Like, what in the world? And it won like best movie for what? I don't know. Sorry, but I don't know. I didn't get it.
What was young Ed Malesic like as a kid?
Good. That's what they would have said. I'm telling you, that's what Ed Malesic so good. I was a paper boy in my town. So I did in the morning paper route. So I'd get up at 5 a.m., 5:30 a.m. I'd be wrapping the papers and I'd be passing out. But the important thing about being a paper boy back then, or passing papers back then, is you go and collect the money. And you did it on Saturday, which meant that you talked to people. You go up, knock on the door. They'd say, "Come in." If they were an elderly couple, they'd say, "Do you want some milk and cookies?" I said, "Of course I would." Because I'll get a bigger tip. Yeah, I love these cookies. These are great. But I think that people would have said that I would pay attention to them. So I don't know. You have to ask them. My brother would say I was spoiled. And I always say to my brother, that didn't bother me at one bit. Not one bit.
Is he older or younger?
He's older than me. I got all the things he didn't get. Yeah. Yeah.
That's me and my sister's the same way.
Tell us one thing about your favorite teacher or mentor.
My favorite teacher was, I have several. They're the ones that you knew they were interested in you and your development. I went to Lebanon Valley College as a biology major, and I had gone to different colleges to try and figure out where I was going to study biology. And some places had these really new, shiny labs. They had electron microscopes. They had all kinds of cool places. Lebanon Valley was in an old shoe factory, no air conditioning. Really, the equipment wasn't that good. But when I talked to those professors about what their program was about, they took the time to tell me how interested they were in me coming to study with them. It's that interest, it's that, listen, again, go back to the genius of Pope Francis and the synodality. If you can understand it and you can practice it in your own life, it's about listening to people before you talk. It's about trying to understand what that person is saying to you, and not just that person, but the Holy Spirit. And if you listen, and you listen as if you care what that person is saying, even if they're on the complete opposite side of you on any spectrum, you get listened back to in return. You get listened back to in return. That's my experience.
Cool. What's your favorite piece of your bishop's regalia?
Do you want the story? Is this? I can't do this in a short one. So
that's fine.
So the bishop's regalia. What makes the bishop's regalia? The mitre, the hat, the ring, and the pectoral cross. And I exchange them, so I don't always wear the same ring, and I don't always wear the same pectoral cross. But when I was named Bishop of Greensburg, my dad, who at that time was probably 95 years old, called my best friend and said, "I want to get something for Ed. What does he need?" And my friend said, "He needs a pectoral cross." And my friend said, "So, Mr. Malesic, we're going to go up to New York, and they have stores that you can buy these things at. We're going to go up to New York, and I know he's going to pick up a pectoral cross to wear. Do you want me to pick one out, and then you pay for it?" And Dad said, "Yeah, sure." And my friend said, "What's your budget?" He said, "Doesn't matter. Anything." Okay. So I picked out the cross that I often wear for like major ceremonies, ordinations, Easter, and it's a cross that has some jewelry in it. It has some amethyst in it. But anyway, I came home, and I told my brother that I had purchased a cross, a pectoral cross, that Dad was going to pay for. He said, "Well, how did you do that?" I said, "Well, Chuck Persing, Father Persing, said that Dad wanted to buy this." And my brother said, "Well, Dad already bought you one." I said, "No, he couldn't have bought me one." He said, "Nope, Dad says he bought it." I said, "Well, okay. So we'll figure this out." Again, 95-year-old dad. So I come home, my brother's there, and my dad's there. I said, "Dad, I bought a cross. I want to show you this. I bought you this cross. I bought this cross that you paid for me." He said, "Oh, that's nice." And then he goes into the kitchen. I said, "Because now we're going to get the real story. What's really happening here?" So then he goes into the kitchen, and then he comes back out. And then I go in the kitchen, and I said, "So Bob, what's the real story?" He said, "Well, he did buy you a cross." I said, "How did he buy a pec? These are kind of unusual unless you go to like wrap stores or something, And my brother said, "Dad went to J.C. Penney and he bought a $99 cross, like about this big." I know. I said, he took it back. I wish he would have kept it, but anyway, he took it back. So that's the story. So what is my favorite piece? It's the pectoral cross that I wear. That was a gift of my dad, although it was kind of unbeknownst to him.
What sound do you love?
The ocean.
What sound do you hate?
Fingernails on a chalkboard.
Tell us about a time where you failed at something and what it taught you.
I failed at so many things. I guess when I made the decision to enter the seminary as a biology major, I knew that my major would become philosophy. So I thought while I was at Lebanon Valley as a biology major that one of the last things I would do before I left there on my third year was take a philosophy class. The lowest grade I ever got in my life was philosophy, and it was a C. And I thought, oh my gosh, I'm going to go to the seminary. I just don't even get this. I don't know what these guys are smoking. They don't make any sense to me. So what did it? I guess it taught me that, well, it doesn't really matter whether you got a C or not. You're just going to go do it. And I did. I went and did. I did okay in I think I did okay in philosophy. But you're a philosophy teacher. I wouldn't do good in your class. I don't.
You do fine.
What do you do on your birthday?
I have a hard time remembering dates, so I don't always remember it's my birthday until my friend calls me at night and says, today was your birthday, so I'm not around. Nothing special on my birthday. Mm-mm. I used to call my dad, say, remember it's my birthday? Oh, yeah.
If you could canonize one person, living or deceased, who would it be?
So I have to say my parents, because I have to say my parents. But there was a woman, and I talk about her a lot in confirmation homilies, a woman who lived next to me in the parish where I was pastor, and she just was a saint. She had probably 8 kids and 20 grandchildren, but she was always praying to the saints. She was always so humble. Her husband had sinus surgery, and unfortunately it went bad, and he never really woke up. And she took care of him, and she always prayed. I say this at the confirmation homily. She always prayed. She always said, "Father, I pray that all my kids become saints." And she meant that, and she showed me what it was like to be a saint. So the saint next door, yeah, Pauline.
Who do you call for spiritual advice?
So I said I call my good friend in Harrisburg. We talk once a week. So that's a connection I've kept with Harrisburg, a strong connection.
Is he a priest?
He is a priest. Yeah, we've known each other since seminary days. So I've been ordained 35 years, and 6 were in seminary. So what's that? 41 discernment, 42 years. I'm 62 now. I'm getting old. And him and my spiritual director, my confessor, I talked to.
What is one thing about another religion that you admire?
I like the Jewish religion. At one point I decided if I wasn't going to be Catholic or Christian, I'd be Jewish. They just have a sense of history and tradition, and they take that seriously. A practicing Jew takes their faith and their history seriously, and they see God working in history. God provides for them in history. I like that.
What's an occupation you'd like to try just for the heck of it?
It would be what I was going to do, and I didn't because God didn't want me to do it, apparently. And that was to be a medical technologist. I love working with microscopes and things, and slides.
All right, last question.
Last one. Yep.
What is one thing you wish people knew about you that they don't know about you?
My life is like a book in many ways. I mean, there's pictures of me everywhere. There'll be pictures of me. Carol will take pictures of me. Put the pictures that have me with a beard, put them down. Probably that I'm more sensitive than people think I am, because you have to put together a strong face, but, yeah.
What a great night with Bishop Malesic at Forest City Brewery for Theology on Tap. We are there every third Tuesday of the month, so join us for that. Thanks to our folks at Forest City Brewery who gave us the space for no charge with their nonprofit Tuesdays. So that was nice of them to do that. So we've taken that through April, and so the next one coming up, Deacon Dave is going to join us, and he's going to be our guest that night. Third Tuesday of every month at Forest City Brewery, so join us for that. And we're going to waive off our usual features since this is a bonus episode, so no church search and no scripture for this weekend, but we hope that you find a place to celebrate the Eucharist on Sunday, if not every day. And we will see you all again soon here on Question of Faith.